Something massive has just exploded across the financial world, and if you're hearing this right now, you're among the first people to catch a shockwave that could completely shift Iraq's position in the global economy, flip the tables on the USD dependency cycle, and potentially change the fate of millions of dinar holders worldwide. So before we dive deeper, smash that like button and make sure you're subscribed, because what you're about to hear is something most people won't understand until it's too late. Today, we're unpacking what Prime Minister Sudani has triggered behind closed doors, what new signals the Central Bank of Iraq is sending out, and why analysts are whispering that 2025 could mark the most critical year for a major currency adjustment, possibly the most significant in 2 decades. For months, people kept asking whether Iraq would ever stabilize enough to introduce a serious exchange rate correction, but the latest announcements, policy shifts, and regionally coordinated economic reform show that Iraq is moving at a pace no one expected, and the strongest clues, yet, are pointing toward a new phase that could redefine the dinar's real value. When Sudani publicly confirmed that his government is restructuring revenue channels, tightening capital flows, accelerating foreign reserves, and aggressively combating currency smuggling, global observers paid attention. But what truly raised eyebrows was his reference to aligning Iraq's monetary policy with long-term structural targets instead of short-term crisis management. That single statement hinted at something deeper, something that suggests Iraq isn't just stabilizing, but preparing to elevate its currency's global standing. Add to this the central bank's recent confirmation that its foreign currency reserves are at one of the highest points in Iraq's modern history, combined with reduced reliance on the parallel market, and you start to see the shape of a new narrative taking form. People used to dismiss dinar revaluation talk as speculation, but now international financial reports are directly acknowledging the possibility of Iraq adjusting its exchange rate once critical benchmarks are reached. The push toward digital banking, international compliance systems, and synchronized data channels with U.S. Treasury oversight is not random. It's part of a structural upgrade, and the timing is too precise to ignore as we step into 2025. What many don't realize is that exchange rate reforms are never announced suddenly. They're built quietly through policy layers, and Sudani may have just activated the stage that transitions Iraq from a recovery economy to a competitive market economy. With oil production expansion agreements, new regional partnerships, and internal stabilization, Iraq is building a financial wall strong enough to sustain a significant shift. Whether this shift becomes a full RV, a controlled adjustment, or a multi-phase rate increase, the movement is undeniable. So stay with me because this story gets even bigger. And if you want to understand where Iraq is heading and how this new 2025 rate update could impact the dinar market globally, don't blink. This is unfolding faster than anyone have triggered global attention. Let's break down what's actually changing inside Iraq's financial landscape and why the 2025 dinar rate conversation has suddenly become more serious than ever. When Iraq announced its refined exchange rate framework, it wasn't just about stabilizing inflation, it was about preparing the economic environment for long-term expansion. And that matters because exchange rates don't rise in weak environments, they rise in controlled, economically confident conditions. Over the past year, Iraq has strengthened its foreign reserves, tightened regulatory oversight, reduced dependency on unregulated dollar transactions, and initiated currency monitoring systems that align with IMF and international banking standards. These developments don't happen in failed economic systems, they happen in economies planning for future expansion. The central bank's commitment to pushing the dinar into a more stable international posture is becoming more visible as 2025 approaches, especially when we look at the pace of reforms. Import tracking systems, digital customs clearance, digital payment networks, reduced smuggling channels, and alignment with global anti-fraud frameworks. Every one of these steps reduces leakage in the system, increases monetary integrity, and positions the dinar for real growth. Meanwhile, private sector activation, something Iraq has struggled with for decades, is beginning to gain momentum through new investment laws and regional partnerships. Oil production cycles are stabilizing, non-oil revenue channels are expanding, and Iraq is negotiating stronger trade corridors that reduce dependence on intermediaries. All of this strengthens the national currency's real value even before any formal revaluation occurs. And let's not ignore the geopolitical element. Iraq is becoming a strategic economic bridge between the Gulf, Europe, Turkey, and the broader Middle East, giving it leverage it never had before. When an economy builds leverage, its currency follows. That's why many forex analysts believe Iraq will adjust its exchange rate gradually or in phases to match its expanding financial capabilities. Some speculate that a controlled rate increase could roll out once the digital financial ecosystem is fully operational, minimizing the risk of market shock. Others predict that Iraq may surprise the world with a more dramatic shift, especially if global oil markets stabilize at high levels during 2025. Regardless of which scenario plays out, the underlying pattern is undeniable. The conditions necessary for a major currency move are being built brick by brick, and they are solid. For dinar holders, this is the closest Iraq has come in years to aligning all the structural components required for an upward shift. It's still critical to stay grounded and realistic. No one knows the exact timing or the exact rate, but what we do know is that Iraq is entering a financial stage it hasn't reached in more than 20 years, and when an economy reaches a new stage, its currency strategy evolves with it. Keep watching closely because the momentum is real, and it's only accelerating from here. As 2025 draws closer, the question everyone is asking is simple. What does Sudani's latest trigger mean for the dinar's future, and how will this shape the global currency landscape? To answer that, we must understand that currencies don't just rise because of rumors. They rise because economic, political, and structural forces align behind them. And right now, Iraq is approaching that alignment more clearly than at any point in recent history. The push for digital-first governance, the modernization of banking infrastructure, and the reduction of cash-based operations all point to a government that is preparing for long-term financial transparency, something Iraq lacked for decades. Transparency builds investor trust, and investor trust increases currency demand. Combine that with the central bank's ongoing commitment to preserving liquidity strength and controlling inflation cycles, and you see a country building a strong financial shield around its national currency. International analysts are noting that Iraq's dependency on the USD is slowly decreasing as the dinar becomes more integrated into domestic and regional transactions. The government's moves to settle trade agreements in local or alternative currencies mark a turning point that could redefine how the dinar competes in the region. If these initiatives continue, the dinar's stability will improve, and stability is the foundation that allows any currency to appreciate. Another major factor is Iraq's infrastructure expansion. Energy projects, transportation corridors, digital communication networks, and industrial zones. When a country strengthens physical infrastructure, it strengthens economic output, which strengthens currency demand. In addition, Iraq's renewed fight against corruption and financial leakage plays a critical role. Each reduction in financial irregularities increases currency value over time. Analysts observing 2025 trends believe that Iraq may introduce periodic adjustments to the dinar to match its evolving macroeconomic needs, potentially leading to a higher exchange rate. Some believe that the RV concept might play out in a structured way rather than a sudden, dramatic overnight shift, while others argue that Iraq may indeed shock the world with a bold move if all financial metrics align perfectly. The truth is that Iraq finally has the building blocks it never had before. Stronger reserves, improved monetary policy, expanding trade partnerships, and political stability. These factors make the 2025 dinar rate update more than just news. It makes it a historic moment unfolding in real time. For investors, followers, and anyone watching the global currency market, the next 12 months could be transformative, and staying informed is your greatest advantage right now. So, if you want to stay ahead of the curve, understand every shift, and catch every update before the mainstream media does, keep watching this channel because what's coming next could change the financial conversation completely. And before we wrap up, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment below telling us where you're watching from and what you think the dinar's future rate could be in 2025. We read every comment, and your perspective helps drive the conversation forward.